In this presentation, we'll look at the organizational units in S4HANA controlling. Let's look at the organizational units in the CO module. If you have COPA activated, then the operating concern becomes the highest organizational unit in the CO module. If you don't have a COPA activated, then the controlling area defaults becomes the default highest organizational unit. The controlling area is like a closed system for cost accounting. So as I mentioned over here, it's like an umbrella where all the cost objects reside. For example, where you have your cost centers, profit centers, your cost elements, internal orders, and wherever the other cost objects like your project systems and so on, all of any cost bucket will always be under some controlling area. Now your company code and business area are more related towards the financial accounting module. The company code is an independent legal entity where you report your financial statements. Business area is another organizational unit from the financial accounting module where it can cut across many different company codes and you can report on a business area wise profitability analysis. Profitability means like a profit center and a cost center linking to a business area, as well as coming out with your P&L reports and balance sheet in one particular business area. The plant is more related towards the logistics module, but you will see plant will also be closely related to the CO module when we have the product costing module, submodule implemented. It is also used to break down an organizational unit into production, procurement, and maintenance. So to summarize, you must always know the highest organizational unit in controlling module is operating concern, especially if CUP is activated, then the control area becomes the next highest organizational unit. And if CUP is not activated, then the controlling area is your highest organizational unit. Let's look at the controlling area settings. Under one operating concern, you can have many different controlling areas. And under one controlling area, you can have many different company codes. And under the company codes, you can assign your plants to relevant company codes. Also, your cost centers and profit centers will also be linked to your company codes. Now, let's start at the controlling area. You can have a controlling area based on different regions or various other global locations and so on. Now in this example, I have got one operating concern and two different controlling areas. One controlling area is for the Asia Pacific region, so I can have countries like Australia, New Zealand, Malaysia, Singapore, India, and so on. Then I have another controlling area for the European Union region. So here I have region. So I have got Great Britain, France, Germany, and so on. So another controlling area, you can have multiple company codes linking to the same controlling area, but there's a very important thumb rule that they should all have the same operational chart of accounts. So you can only have one chart of accounts which will be linking to all these company codes under one single controlling area. So you can have a chart of accounts called Asia Pacific chart of accounts, and then you can link them to these company codes, and you must also link to that controlling area. Similarly, you then have another chart of accounts for this controlling area. You can also have different fiscal year variants, but the number of posting periods must be the same. So for each company codes under the controlling area, you can have its own individual fiscal year variant. For example, you can have a variant 1000, 1010, 1020, and so on, but the posting periods must be the same. This is generally the case. For example, normally you always have 12 posting periods, one posting period for each month, so that should not be much of a problem. Now let's look at configuring a controlling area. So let's go to the SAP configuration menu. So once you're logged in, just type in SPRO, press enter in your keyboard. If you already have a project, you can name a project, and using that project, you can do all your configs. This is mostly the recommended way, but sometimes you can do without specifying a project as well. So I'm just going to go to SAP reference IMG, and in here, I'm going to go to controlling, general controlling. Under organization, you'll find maintain controlling area. So this way we're going to configure the controlling area. And then from there, we go and click on maintain controlling area here again. And we can see there are already some pre-configured controlling area in the system. The good thing is we can see one of these controlling areas and see the configs being done over here, and then later we can copy one of these or create our own. So using this method, you will know what is exactly required as a prerequisite before configuring the controlling area. So let's use this controlling area 1000. You can select on this and you can see the subsection over here on the left hand side. So let's look at the activate components controlling indicators. This section where you specify which are the subcomponents of the CO module which you are going to activate. Just double click on that, it will come over here. And you can see this has been valid from 2018 to 9999. You can even specify from whatever years you want, 2015 or 2010 and so on. And here you can see the sub modules of the CO controlling module, cost centers, activity type, order management, commitments, and so on. And you can specify which components you wanted to activate. Now here you can see cost centers are active, one component active. If you just click on this button, you have the options component not active, component active for validations, for existence validations, and so on. Generally, I would recommend that you select number one, component active, for whichever components you want to activate. So I'll go with the basic settings. We'll activate cost centers. We just click over here for activity types. We'll make it one over here, active for internal orders management, commitment management, and then we'll have activity based costing. Let's not select anything, just keep it as non-active. And later when we want to do profitability analysis, we can come and activate account based profitability analysis. You can also see the other modules, projects. These are some of these cost objects, sales orders, cost objects, real estate management is all have been ticked as well. We'll just leave it like that for when we configure for our own controlling area. And you can see all currencies, company code validations all have been activated. And these are some alternative hierarchies. Well, we don't have to bother with that for now. Then if you go and click over here, you will see the assignment of company codes. This is where you assign the company code which you have created via the FI of financial accounting module, and you assign which one of them are relevant to this controlling area. So this is the indicator where you specify that I want to activate this company code, this company code, this company code, and so on. Remember, you cannot activate one company code to multiple controlling areas. You can only activate multiple company codes to a single controlling area. Now also if you double click on this main screen, the controlling area over here, you will see the more detailed information regarding that controlling area. For example, the name of that controlling area, person responsible, whether you want to assign one company code or multiple company codes to the same controlling area, the currency type, the currency, the chart of accounts, the fiscal year variant, the cost center standard hierarchy, and so on. So using this slide, we can see that we need to have the chart of accounts present. We need to identify which fiscal year variant we are going to use and which is the cost center standard hierarchy we are going to use before we configure the controlling area. So now let's look at configuring the chart of accounts. Another way to maintain the controlling area is via the enterprise structure menu path. So in the SAP configuration menu, come to enterprise structure, definition, and you'll see definitions for each of the SAP modules where you can configure the main enterprise structure. For example, in controlling area, we can configure the maintain controlling area section and create the operating concern. Now, if you look at this maintain controlling area, it is similar to the one which we saw a few minutes ago under the controlling menu path. But the main difference is the maintain controlling area section under enterprise structure is a more at a high level view. Come over here. The subcomponents which we saw earlier, the assignment to company code section and the activate of components is not over here. You'll only see this main screen. And in that you can see the controlling area, double click and you come to the general control area settings. And we are looking at some previously configured information. And if there's any inconsistencies, you will find these error messages, for example, or warning messages, differing currencies, EUR, INR, view details, and so on. We have not configured this is already something pre-configured in the system. So if you want to escape the screen, simply click on skip over here and you come to this screen and you can press F3 in your keyboard, that is F3, or you can go using the back path using the menu section as well. And to escape this screen, you simply click on X over here and that will close the screen. Now let's look at configuring the chart of accounts. For chart of accounts, we come to the SAP configuration menu path. We come to financial accounting, and from financial accounting we go to general ledger accounting, and general ledger we go to master data, GL accounts, preparations, and then you have this chart of accounts information over here. And we are going to create our own chart of accounts. So let's go to edit chart of accounts list. And you can see here there are already some pre-configured chart of accounts. You cannot use the same ID to configure your own chart of accounts. So ensure that you create your new ID, one using your new ID. So I'm going to create my own chart of accounts. I'm simply going to click on new entries over here. And you can see just have to give simple information only, a 4-character chart of accounts identifier, a description for it, the language, the length of the GL account number, the group chart of accounts number. If there is going to be group chart of accounts, for example, you might have multiple chart of accounts and you can link them to a single group chart of accounts for group consolidation view. And whether it's going to be blocked or not, but we will keep it as active. So those are information you need to give initially in this screen to create your own chart of accounts. So let's create our chart of accounts. I'm going to specify a chart of accounts ID called M000. So I'm just going to type that in. M000 over here. As you can see, that means it's not been used before. That's good news. So I'm just going to say, just give an ID over here. So I'm going to say M test chart of accounts. Language, I'm going to specify as it in English. This shows EN. Length of the GL account numbers, length of my chart of accounts number, I'm going to keep it to 6. There's no group chart of accounts required. I'm not going to block it and then simply click on save. It creates a request ID. I'm just simply going to say OK. And data has been saved and I've created my chart of accounts. So now I'm going to set up the company code. I'm going to enterprise structure, then under their definition, financial accounting, and you can see here define company, define credit control area. The right one we need to choose is edit, copy, delete, check company code. This option, the third one over here. Then I'm going to select edit company code data, and I'm going to create my own company code. So you cannot use an existing ID which already exists over here. So you just scroll down. I'm thinking of using something like M0001. Just want to make sure is it there or everyone has used it. Don't think so. So hence I'm going to create new entry and choose my company code ID M000 M001 and company name. I'm just going to give an ID just information over here M test company code, right? And you can give your city, country, currency, language, and so on. Now I'm for this teaching example, I'm going to use Australian dollars and the company which is based in Australia. Yeah, just simply choosing Australia because more popular ones are the US and Indian company codes or Indian company code US and Indian settings. However, they have a bit more complex settings in terms of taxations and so on. So I'm going to choose a simple example that is to use the Australian company code and use Australian dollars. So currency, I'm going to specify AUD. Country, I'm going to specify AU. Language, I'm just going to specify EN for English and then simply save the transaction. And that pops up with another screen over here. It's going to ask for more details, title, name, and so on. Title, company, name, again, I'm going to put this M test company code. You can give some search terms and so on. The country, again, I'm going to specify AU, Australia over here. Not going to specify any further details and simply going to say OK and save the transaction. And it's going to say OK, and that's going to save my transaction. And now we have created the company code. Let's look at configuring the controlling area. So as a first part, I'm going to configure using the enterprise structure, definition, controlling area menu path. And as a second part, we'll go into the controlling menu and do the more detailed configuration. It's going to go over here, select my new controlling area, create my own. I'm just going to specify M000 over here, give it an ID, M test controlling area. I'm always going to choose number 2 because I want to have option of having multiple company codes pointing to the same controlling area. Currency type, I'm just going to select number 10, the company code currency for now. Currency also, I'm going to select AUD. I want to configure my controlling area to be in AUD. Chart of accounts, I'm going to select M000, the one I just configured. Fiscal year variant is the fiscal year where you want to mention from which period to which period your country's fiscal year is going from. So I have chosen Australian company code setting. So I will use the Australian fiscal year setting as well. That is from Australian financial year goes from July to June. Now, if you are using a standard fiscal year from January to December, I would recommend you to use K4. And you also have other pre-configured fiscal year variants configured. For example, you have April to March and so on, October to September. And I'm just going to not select any other information over here, simply going to select save. Okay. Now we'll come to the maintain controlling area section, another controlling menu path. Earlier we used enterprise structure menu path. Now we'll come to the controlling menu path, general controlling, organization, maintain controlling area again, and we'll choose our controlling area. So you can simply click on position over here and just type in your controlling area and it pops up over here. Select this. I'm just going over a bit more faster this time because we already gone through this earlier a few minutes ago. Activate the components and you can choose from which year to which year you want to specify this. So I'm just going to select new entries. Let's say I'm going to start from maybe 2015 onwards to 9999 and I'm going to activate all the components. I'm going to activate one over here. I want cost centers, activity type, components active, commitment management active. Probably just leave this as it is. Now you can see this is not allowing you to do any settings because we are not activated the operating concern yet. So once you do that, we'll have this option of choosing what type of profitability analysis we want to use. So I'm going to use projects, sales orders, cost objects, real estate management. It's going to go through this very quickly. And I'm just going to save the transaction over here. Now that we have set up our controlling area, let's look at the menu path, how to go about it. Enterprise structure, definition, controlling, and maintain controlling area. And once you go into that screen, you can click on maintain controlling area and you'll come across your controlling area details. Now in this selection, I have created M000. I have given a name to it, cross company code cost accounting, which means I can put multiple company codes to one controlling area. Currency type, currency, I have specified a currency for my controlling area. I've also created my chart of accounts for my controlling area. I also given a fiscal year variant for my controlling area. These are very important information which you should know about your controlling area, especially the chart of accounts and fiscal year variant, because the consecutive company codes you create which belong to this controlling area has to be the same. The controlling area currency becomes your default currency for your CU reports when you run using that particular controlling area. For example, if you have a controlling area as US dollars, control area currency as US dollars, then when you run your CU reports based on the controlling area currency, you'll get it everything in the US dollars. You have something called object currency. This is relevant to the CO object module. For example, you have your cost centers, internal orders. These are all your cost objects, and in these, each cost object you can assign its own currency. It's always best that whatever cost objects that you're linking to one controlling area, you have that same currency. However, in a multi-geographical location, if your cost centers are in Japan and your controlling area currency is in a based on a different currency, for example, Singaporean dollars, then you can have each of your cost centers in its own reporting currency, for example, Japanese yen. So when you run your cost center reports, you get it in your Japanese yen. Whereas when you run your controlling area report, you will get everything in Singapore dollars. Transaction currency is the actual transaction which you're posting. For example, if you're purchasing an item from a different currency, a different country, and then a different with different currency, you can put that foreign currency and you'll see that actual transaction in that currency. Generally, in terms of reporting, the important aspect is to note that you plan ahead and make sure that your cost centers, profit centers, and whatever cost subjects you're going to use, you use the right currency or your local currency which you want to see the reports run by. And you can have a consolidated view using your controlling area currency if you want the currency conversion. In the controlling area configuration, you have the option whether you're linking one company code to one controlling area or multiple company codes to one controlling area. As we saw in our slide earlier, for example, if you're in an Asia Pacific region and you have one controlling area for the Asia Pacific region and you have multiple company codes across different regions, then you need to use the many to one option. Also, if your organization has some of these scenarios, then it's also best to use the many to one configuration, which is multiple company codes can link to one controlling area. For example, if you foresee cross-company code postings, cross-company code reporting, cross-company code allocations, where you're going to transfer some cost from one company code to another company code, it's similar to something like a posting as well. And you have profit centers covering more than one company code. For example, if you have one profit center covering more than one company code, if you let's say you have three company codes reporting to the same profit center, then also you will need this option where you link multiple company codes to one controlling area. Hence, it's always a safe bet to link the option called the cross company code controlling area, where you link multiple company codes to one controlling area, so it gives you greater flexibility in the future. Let's quickly recap what we learned in this presentation. You must remember the organizational units in the CEO module, especially the highest organizational unit, where is the operating concern and then the controlling area. You should also be able to set up your own controlling area using the CEO configuration. You should also know the assignments of company codes to controlling area, whether it's one to one or many to one, and what are the properties, what are the requirements, and so on. You should also know a little bit about the currency which you link to your controlling area. So just have a read through between the slides which you just gone through, and also do the configuration of setting up your own controlling area.